Hello, this is Heidi Danner, and this evening I'll be going over my curriculum and instruction e-portfolio for CNT 898. Just a little bit about me before we go into the standards within the portfolio. I currently teach 5th grade. I'm just outside of Houston, Texas. We're in a small suburb. I teach at a Title I school. I have a bit of an interesting path into education, as I spent 6 years in the United States Air Force before becoming a teacher. And originally I started out as a special education teacher, and that's where my heart is. I really love doing that. I love working with those kids. But I decided that I had found my career, my home in education, and so I needed some schooling to go along with that, and so that's why I chose to do my master's in education. And so because of that, and specifically in doing curriculum and instruction, I wanted to really kind of have a better handle on what it was the kids were learning within the classroom and what it takes to develop curriculum and to teach the curriculum and assess the curriculum. So this last year I took a self-contained 5th grade position, and so I'm going to teach all subject areas and getting to see a little bit of everything, which is really great because I'm able to use so much of what I've learned throughout the program within my own classroom and use it to reflect as I've done my core studies as well. So that's a little bit about my journey through education and how I got to where I am now. The standard that I like to show you within the ePortfolio is 1.5 technology. And I'm choosing the standard to show you because technology is such an important piece within my classroom. We use a lot of it. I feel like it's really engaging to the students. It's really on their level as they're so involved with technology. It's at their fingertips, and I think it's really just one way to encourage them to be self-motivated learners. And so that's the standard that we're covering, CAP 1.5. And the first artifact comes from ALPS 811, the Constructivist Learning Technologies. I'm going to scroll down and actually click on the artifact so we can look at it. And the artifact I chose is a NetLogo lesson. This was the software that I had never played with before. I was very new to it, but it was assigned to us throughout this particular module within 811. And really the task was just, here's a software. Without instruction, without being taught, play with it. How can you use it? What can you learn from it? And how can it be useful to students? And so, we were asked to select 2 models and really play with them. So the first one that I selected here is the fireworks model. And I chose this because it was pretty straightforward. Fireworks go into the air, they explode, that type of thing. And so because I was new to this software and I didn't know much about it, I chose to do something that I was fairly familiar with. So the software allows you to manipulate the program, to play with things like the gravity and just make observations. What happens when there's more gravity? What happens when there's less gravity? That type of thing. And so you get to make these observations that you wouldn't normally get to do. Even if the students were doing this type of experiment, it's not something you'd be able to recreate over and over again. Changing the gravitational pull on the Earth isn't something they're actually able to do within the learning environment. So this was a really great simulation. So model 2 that I chose was more geared towards me taking on this self-contained position. Being a math teacher, I've never taught science, and I was looking for something I could use within the classroom to either teach the water cycle or runoff or how terrain is affected by water. So I chose the Grand Canyon model. And so this was something that I got to play with and got to manipulate, and we were then able to go back and use within the classroom. And so I chose this particular artifact because I think it not only shows my ability to learn and be flexible as a student with technology, but also my desire in learning by doing. I liked the idea of giving students a software and with a little bit of guidance and direction, just letting them learn and play and observe and figure things out on their own. And that, to me, is really what this software allowed us to do. So NetLogo, this particular software that's within this artifact, it is an application that I've since used within my classroom. I give little to no instruction to the students. So they're able to select a model. Normally the model is assigned by me because it's something that relates to the topic that we're studying. But aside from that, I give them nothing, and they get to manipulate the software and to play with the technology. and then they're able to make those observations and recreate these simulations that they might not otherwise be able to recreate. And it gives them the opportunity to learn through observation, which really goes a long way, giving them that writing tool. They're able to use the technology and engage with the material, but then write and take notes and reflect and have deep discussions on these things. And then share out with partners and go back and then change their simulations and see how things really are affected based on the feedback from their peers. So that's why I chose this particular artifact for 1.5 on technology. And the second piece that I chose is from CNT 770. And this piece really has a lot of weight on what I've done within the classroom and kind of my teaching methodology. And this is a response paper from within the course. And within this particular course, there was a lot of things that I was able to learn and then later use within my classroom. But this one topic really stood out to me, and I've used this to continue to evolve my teaching methodology within my classroom. And that's just the concept of learning by doing. So from the beginning of this module, there was a mini documentary on how we perceive that we're ever developing curriculum as a society, but we might not necessarily be doing that because we're doing it with the tools that the students have right now and not the tools that they might have in the future. And I think that really speaks volumes to the technology piece within the classroom. It's ever changing, but technology isn't going anywhere, and they're going to continue to have more and more access to it. And more of it is going to come up within their careers and their daily lives. And so just really focusing on developing a curriculum that's geared towards and around that technology piece that's going to engage them and enhance their learning. After this little mini documentary that just spoke to me about changing curriculum for the future, not for the now, there was Mr. Matera's experiment where he put a computer within the wall in India, and he just left it. And the experiment was to simply see if students, when not given any instruction, would be able to do anything with a computer. What would they be able to do? What would they be able to learn? And so I just kind of started to think back to my own personal family, my own personal classroom, and that, we can give these students, these children, a video game, any game for that matter, a phone, a piece of technology, an iPad, and without giving them any instruction on what to do with it, they can manage to make it work. They can not only learn the game, but they can win the game. And so, they're learning to play, they're learning to enjoy, and most of the time they're even learning to master it. But we put them in a classroom and we show them how to do everything. We correct them as they go. We teach them everything they need to know. We provide them with all of the information. And at the end of the day, they're struggling with basic concepts. So how is it that they're able to sit down with a video game and in a matter of 30 minutes to an hour be able to have a great time with it, learn how to do it, master how to win the game, be able to teach it to another student, but we can sit there for hours on end being lectured at, being given all kinds of information, and really walk away with nothing from it, no retainable knowledge. And so that's why I chose this particular artifact, because I have implemented this style of learning within my classroom. I've developed an environment where students, they research, they watch videos, they respond to chats, they develop presentations, and so much more, just in an effort to discover information on their own. We do this in a flipped classroom format where resources, websites, videos, lectures, slideshows are all uploaded to a Canvas-like system, a Blackboard-type system where the students can access them. And it's really creating this self-directed learning environment because students are able to rewatch videos. They're able to learn to take their own notes. And they can do that in a way so that they're accessing the information themselves. And if they need to extend that learning, they can. For those higher students who are quicker paced learners, they're able to continue researching to get into those deeper level questions. And those students who might need a little bit of extra repetition are able to get that as well. And then I'm able to be there and support and facilitate that along the way. And it really does a lot for their learning. So within the flipped classroom, the students have projects such as research projects or presentations to create in which they continue to explore and find more information. It's allowed the students to use technology that they will continue to use throughout their careers, as well as provide an opportunity for higher achieving students to be self-motivated and extend their learning, and to provide the extra support to those students who need to receive it as well. And so that's why I chose this particular artifact, because this is really how I do implement things within my classroom, is this learning by doing mentality of giving students access to something that is not only intriguing and engaging, but really such a big portion of their lives, and so much of what is of what their focus is, and that being that technology piece. So giving them that engaging piece of it, and then really just allowing them to learn some information and be there as a facilitator to encourage them and answer questions, give them that reteach if necessary, that one-on-one time, those higher level of thinking questions, but without just sitting there and lecturing it to them at all times. And so I really feel like this artifact specifically speaks to how I do things within my classroom, as well as my understanding and using technology within the classroom to be engaging and enhancing students' learning. So after doing the entire program and coming to an end, my next steps really for me are to continue to learn. I'm still fairly new to education, and I am really enjoying getting to learn so much about the curriculum that students get to interact with on a day-to-day basis, and how I can change that as a teacher to better fit their needs. Ultimately, in a couple of years, I would really like to take on what we refer to here in Texas as a coaching position, or a peer facilitator position, where I can kind of lead those meetings within a team on how they can better enhance the curriculum within their classroom, to engage more students, to differentiate the instruction so that they're really getting on all of these different levels, that they're able to take an activity and change it and morph it in a way that's not only engaging to the kids but exciting to them, and that allows them as teachers to really sit back and be facilitators within the classroom and not feel overwhelmed by standing in front of a classroom full of students and just lecturing for days on end. So I'd like to step into that role in the next couple of years, and then from there move on to being a specialist. And coming from math, I thought I always wanted to teach math, but this year being self-contained, I'm having a hard time deciding what it is exactly that I want to specialize in and I want to teach. So I think that's why I'll take a few more years within the classroom to really kind of hone my craft and decide where my heart really lies. But right now, I'm just really enjoying getting the opportunity to be with the students on a day-to-day basis, use the things I've learned. We change things all of the time within the classroom, keep it engaging and exciting, but as I learn new ways to interact with them and to encourage them, we implement them within the classroom. And so it's been really fun for both of us. And so I hope to get to continue to do that for a little bit longer as I figure out exactly where I want to be, but eventually to take on that coaching role and really help mentor some of my peers as they continue on in their education career as well. Thank you so much.